Today in class we did a quick review of solving word problems, but before that we talked about translating English into algebra, because you can't really solve word problems if you can't first change the words into math. Most of this you're really familiar with, so we just hit on the few things that are almost always true and also that pose the most difficulty for kids. The word is, in most situations, translates to equals. Just keep that in mind. Here's the most common problem, actually the first of two most common problems. If I say 5 less than a number, it seems like, if I read from left to right, it looks like it should be 5 minus n, or x. But the problem is, if I want to know what 5 less than something is, I have to start with that something. For example, if something is 10, 5 less than 10 is 5. 5 less than 12 is 7. For that same reason, if I want to know 5 less than a number, I start with the variable, which is representing the number, and I take 5 away. When you see the words less than, remember you need to switch the order that it's written in. Okay. The second very tricky thing, if I say, for example, 2 times, actually I should have written it as a word, well, the sum of a number and 3. Well, if I really examine this, I say, what is getting multiplied by 2? The sum. How do I write the sum of a number and 3? I write it as x plus 3. So if I want to multiply that by 2, I write it right next to here. But if I look at this expression, what's getting multiplied by 2? Only x. Since I want the whole sum to get multiplied by 2, I must put it in parentheses. So it's saying 2 times the whole sum of that. So if there's a problem on there, if I said 2 times, I don't know, 2 times 3 plus a number. In this situation, 2 is just multiplying 3. 2 times 3 plus a number. I know there was a problem on there that was similar to that. Okay, on to, whenever I'm solving word problems, I just follow some basic steps. The first thing I want to do, not so good, I'm going to erase that, word problems. First thing I want to do is read it carefully. And really what I'm reading for is, what is unknown? Okay? Because the power of algebra is that we can represent unknowns with a variable. So the second step is to write down in words the unknown. For now, we're only going to have one unknown, but I'm going to add an S here for future possibilities of having more than one unknown. Here's where the algebra comes in. Assign a variable to represent one unknown. In our situations tonight, there will only be one unknown. So you're going to you left a line to deal with the possibility of further unknowns. which we will get to shortly. But for now, there's only one unknown, so we're going to move on. And the next step is to write and solve an equation that matches the facts. I'm just going to say I'm out of space for the facts. So I'm going to write down a problem from your homework, not the one we did together, but here's an idea. Marble Middle School, okay, I'm just going to say CRS because it's faster. CRS paid $500 for 16 graphing calculators. What was the cost for each calculator? Okay, so almost always in a problem there's a question. In here, this one, it's what was the cost for each calculator? Meaning what we don't know is the cost of a calculator. And since we don't know that, unknowns are represented by a variable. I always use x, but it doesn't really matter what you're using. So this is the trickiest part, going back and figuring out how to use that and put it into there. So CRS paid $500 for 16 graphing calculators. We know that the cost of each calculator is x. We know we have 16 of them. So 16 x's comes to $500. In your homework tonight, you'll be able to see to the right where the equations are, and it's very important that you match up your equations. And then in the bottom, it has the answers. So, as we saw last night, opposite operations undo something. This is 16 times x. To undo that, we do 16 divided by 16, because after all, that equals 1, and 1 times x is x. If I'm going to do that, I have to do it over here. So 500 divided by 16. Geez, I can't do that in my head, so I'm going to go over here. We'll do a quick review on division. Divide. 16 goes into 50 3 times. Multiply. 3 times 16 is 48. Subtract. 20. Bring down. 31, and this is 16. And 4/16 I know is that, so it comes to $31.25. $31.25, and it is okay tonight to use calculators because the emphasis tonight is on doing the algebra. All right, good luck with your homework.